from Poetry Paper Crafts. I'm back today with a 12x12 process video for you for Lottie Loves Paper. So just right at the outset I'll say that this video counts as an advertisement. I am scrapping, well, I was planning on scrapping that photograph, but you'll see halfway through I do change my mind. But I am using my Indigo blue kit. And what I've done there is I've taken the two identical sheets of paper from the 6x6 pad, the green ones there, taken a tiny bit off the lighter coloured edges, and then used them to create a strip of paper across the back. I really liked that green and I wanted to use it, but I only had it in 6x6, so I thought I'll be a bit inventive there and join them together. So I was planning on going vertically, and then as the layout kind of develops, I think I changed my mind as we go through, but you'll see that again in a little while. I have sort of been looking at it and thinking, well, I like that green, but it looks a little bit too harsh against the background and I want to do something else. So I get out that stencil that's it's kind of like a grid pattern, and I get out some white texture paste and some green paints. I'm not quite sure which one is going to work, and I try that sort of iridescent green, and it's a bluey green. It's not enough of a greeny green. So then I get out a slightly different colour. So I've chosen that that sort of darker green. That one mixed with the texture paste produces a perfect kind of lighter shade of what's on the papers. So I mix that up really well, and then I'm just going to put two sections of this texture paste on. I'm putting one up there, so I don't do the whole thing, and then I'm going to do one just there. So you get that extra green detail that just kind of pops out from behind that green paper. And then I kind of play with the idea of where I'm going to put the sheet of green, and whether I'm going to have it vertically or horizontally. This is a real sort of process video because it does show my process as I change my mind and swap and change and can't make my mind up quite where things are going to go. But in the end I do decide to stick that across there. But then I do change my mind and I go for this photograph instead. It just seems to fit better. The greens seem to match better with the greens. And I did want to use butterflies. I've got some little tags and all sorts of different pieces. I'm sure that I'm going to use that as the title, that smile. That was from the embellishment kit. So without hesitation, I stick that down. And then I decide to map my photograph on some vellum. I love the effect that vellum gives around a photograph, and I always tear it. It just gives it a really nice soft edge. So I just tear along the edge of a ruler. Sometimes you get a little bit sticking out, and I don't think that matters. It just gives a real softness to it, because in the end, I don't think I back it with anything else other than that vellum and that adhesive foam that you see there to give it a little bit of dimension. So now I've stuck that title down, I'm going to go through all the embellishments that came with the kit. And as you can see there just to the right, I've already picked out everything that kind of had a green tinge to it. I avoided anything blue because I felt for this particular layout I really wanted to pull out the greens, and I also think that the colour of the title there, the smile, matches with my son's kind of orangey striped coloured t-shirt that he's wearing, so that sort of fits really well and coordinates nicely, as does the butterfly, because the butterfly has a hint of pink on it as well, like a pinky orange colour, so it all kind of melds together really well. So I've gone through all the embellishments. Like I say, I've popped a couple of little cardstock hearts now in the corner of the photograph, and I'm just playing with all various different stickers. I quite often stick things down and then move them, but I do know that that photograph's going to go there in the centre of that green, centrally, vertically in that green there, and so I decided to stick that down because the last thing I want to do is start putting things where I want them and then have the photograph move and it all kind of go wrong. That's the last thing we need to happen. So I'm in an ahhing now about which ones I like, which ones I don't like. I put them on, I take them off, and that's all part of the process. And in the end, I do decide that I do like the flowers. They give a real softness to it. So I pull out some more sheets from the 6x6 paper pad, that flowery one. They're like watercolour flowers, and then there's the butterfly sheet as well. And I decide to use both of those and do some fussy cutting of the different butterflies, the different flowers to go around the photograph. Now, I don't make you watch all of my fussy cutting, because I do fussy cut quite a lot of different flowers from those sheets and quite a lot of different butterflies. I choose them in all different sizes, and I try and make them look as good as I can. Some of them do overlap, and sometimes fussy cutting can be tricky in that sense, but you can always tuck little bits underneath. There you see there's loads more that I've fussy cut there. Some of them are actually stickers from the sticker sheet. I think the large one that's on the bottom left hand corner of the photograph is one that's come from the sticker sheet, but most of the ones that are there, all the butterflies and things, are all from me fussy cutting. And all I've done there is I've added a piece of sticky adhesive foam to the back of each one. Some of them I've stuck straight onto the cardstock, some of them are propped up, and that just gives different levels and different bits of dimension to the page. And that's all I do basically, is I tuck in lots and lots of flowers around the photo. I make sure I cover up that line where my two pieces of cardstock for the background join up, and then I place the butterflies in all different places, sort of all over the sheet. I do just put tiny bits of glue on the butterfly so that I can fold up the wings if I wish. And that's about it. I think the last thing I do is add two little sticker phrases underneath the photograph. But that's my layout done. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again soon.